Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be talking about some of the European League of Football transfers and acquisitions that have happened over the last couple of days, some of which have their replacements, some do not. We'll get into both and discuss what this means for certain teams, who I would bring in, who they have brought in, who they haven't announced yet, or whatever. So, if you enjoyed this one, like it, don't like it, subscribe, please do, because I need 1,000. If you dislike it, it's fine, it comes up the same way anyway. So I really appreciate it, and the support on these videos has been crazy, so I just wanted to get a bit more of my scouting work out there. Thank you very much. Let's get into the video. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Colin Hill's placement onto IR. Now this is extremely impactful, not only because it's the QB, but it's a team that I said has lacked offensive identity outside of Silas Nisata. As you can see on the screen, he had only 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with a 52.78% completion percentage. These aren't elite numbers for someone that you would have expected to be one of the top QBs in the league, especially with Silas and with Jahali, who's a former Rookie of the Year, and with a very elite coaching staff. So he has underperformed. It's very unfortunate he hasn't been able to attempt a comeback because of his injury. But as of the time of this, I don't believe it has been confirmed that he's out for the season. So he might only be out for a short amount of time. So I guess we'll see how that works out. But hopefully he has a speedy recovery and he's able to come back and prove why he deserves a starting role in the ELF, like I believe that he is capable of. As for his replacement, they've got Jordan Barlow, the American QB who played for Leipzig Kings in 2022. He had pretty poor results, to be completely honest. He had 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, took a number of sacks, which isn't crazy, but 52.23% completion rate is not exactly what you need. And he does have the ELF experience, which helps. He is smaller than Colin Hill, which might open up the offense a bit, I guess, if he's able to run dual threat. The ELF is for some reason not allowed to watch old games, so I can't actually really watch that much film on him, unfortunately, so I can't give too much of a scouting report. But you know, I'm hoping that he can show a little bit more than he did for the Kings last season. Of course, I've seen the plays that he did have for the Kings, and it looks rather unexceptional, to be honest. It is a very short notice thing, and I know he was coaching, so I don't know if he'll be in completely good football shape, but I guess this is a very big, just kind of wait and see what happens kind of signing. But considering the short notice, I don't think it's a terrible signing at all. As for players to hypothesize about, it could have been Tyler Jarnagin. I don't think it ever was going to be, because he's still with the Prague Black Panthers, and I don't see any way that they'd be able to coax him out of there mid-season, but he has played 7 games there. He's had a successful career in college, as you can see by his numbers, and he has the highest QB rating in the AFL at the moment. 25 touchdowns with 3 interceptions is also very efficient. He looks pretty mobile. He's fairly accurate. His arm's fine, not elite, but okay. And he has one hell of a mullet, so in my books he's a starting QB, of course, but you know, it's such a short notice that I don't think they would have been able to get in any amazing QBs, but you know, we'll see how it turns out for him. Now, Darius St. Robertson going down is such an unfortunate circumstance, given he was the first player ever signed in franchise history for the Munich Ravens, and he's an ELF All-Star last season with the Panthers, and he was off to a pretty good start this year too. It's so unfortunate to see he's out for the entire year. They have not yet, at the time of this recording, announced a replacement, so let's see who they could potentially bring in. One serious contender, honestly, could be Derek Parnell, the Western Oregon corner. He had 4 years of starting experience in college where he was able to put up good productivity, and overall is just a really solid corner. And we last saw him in the spring league as well, so he comes with a wealth of experience. I haven't seen much of him recently, so I honestly don't really know where he's playing at the moment, if he is playing, so that's why it's a bit of a reach. As for players that could potentially come in and replace St. Robinson, I think that Brandon Brooks is probably the best quality player, formerly in the USFL and the Barcelona Dragons. Derek Parnell, who we talked about earlier. Preston Plintoff is another really strong option. Charles Oliver, formerly of the Dresden Monarchs, and then Tyleek Smith as well, I think is also a pretty decent player from Jersey City. So there are options, and I think that there's a lot of solid players that could fill the position. DB happens to be a position where I think a lot of Americans are in Europe for, so it shouldn't be a crazy hard place to find one. I think Brian Peavy as well also should be in the conversation. So lots of options, and just throwing 6 out there with the addition of Brian Peavy, who's also an excellent player, 2-time All-American, and played with the Dragons last time and with UE in England. So let's see who they do bring in. Maybe it'll be one of these guys. Thomas Schneider also unfortunately out for the remainder of the year. He only got to play one game and register one tackle throughout the course of the season, but he is a first team all-star selection in 2022 and he's an excellent player. I mean, anyone who's seen him play knows that, and it is a big hole in their team to lose him, especially if they're going to be trying to repeat for this championship run. So I will be extremely interested to see who they bring in to replace him. As for who they could bring in, here are the top 10 tacklers in the AFL at the moment, and this is naturally where they're going to be looking for these Austrian talents, and there are definitely some players here, although there are also some Americans, but I think this will be a great place to start. However, with the two most sacks in the AFL this season are both Vienna Viking players, so naturally that could be an avenue they also explore. I would be really interested to see if they go after Destiny. I know that my good friend Daniel Dokal of the Dragons defensive coordinator won't be too happy to lose him, but he would be an extremely interesting talent in this system. But I think it's most likely, in my opinion, that they go for one of these two players, Marcel or Max, who are at the top of the sacks leaders in the AFL. My reason being that pass rushing, you can never have enough weapons there, honestly, and with the amount of talents that are there, then it's, you can only just add more talent to that defense, and I think the linebackers did do a fairly solid job all the way through that Berlin game. So does it need, is it a really big hole? Of course it is. Can it be filled? Yes, I do think it can, and I think it starts with getting to the QB to ease the potential pressure on the linebackers coming in and the DBs as well. So I think it just adds up. That will conclude the video today. I really appreciate everyone that's been supportive of the channel. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you just help me push through that, really appreciate it. This is a good little midweek episode, I think, just to kind of keep rolling with the season going into week 3, and I think it's important to review some signings, and also it's fun to, as a scout, to offer some, not free, but you know what I mean, like alternative takes and some potential players to keep an eye on if they do come in. So this has been fun, and I thank you very much, and see you later. Have a good day. Bye bye.